Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Death Ray. Hopefully you guys are having a good evening so far. It is Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. How about that? Just about 9:12 on the East Coast if you're keeping track, and out here in the desert, in the hot desert where it's still over 100 degrees, even though it's 6:12 out here in the desert. Bit of a weird day. I hope everyone is doing well, just all things considered. Yeah, bit of a weird one. I don't know what to say, guys. We talk a lot on this channel about, we talk a lot about movies, and we talk about welcoming all opinions on movies, and really just being able to back up your opinions and not, judging people or hating on people for thinking differently. And it's clearly going to be different when you're talking about art or when you're talking about social issues or politics. But the way I feel personally is, no one should have to be violently attacked, whether or not it's a successful violent attack or whatever, for having a difference in opinion, especially when that person is known for civilly debating and discussing hot button issues with people that disagree with them and can do it in a very respectful way. So I think it's a sad day for everyone that cares about, thoughtful, compassionate political discourse in the whole world. I mean, especially here in the United States. So don't need to dive into it. If you hate how I feel about that, you can hit me up in the DMs. I'm totally willing to debate, because I think, I'm not going to do it here. This isn't the forum. This isn't where we debate these things, so I won't do it here. But if you want to get into it, you can reach out to me. I'm not going to do it in the comments or anything like that, so you could reach out through a DM or something like that. But I've seen plenty of people out there that are like, this is how I feel and I'm not going to debate it. And it's like, once you say you're not going to debate something, you are literally saying I'm beyond reason. And the reason why Charlie Kirk was shot and killed today was because somebody wasn't willing to debate him. They probably would have gotten their butts handed to them in the debate. And when you respond with violence or name calling, you are throwing in the towel. You are essentially saying, you know what, this person is so right that it hurts my feelings so badly that now I need to hurt them, either through calling them a name or physically hurting their body. So, and a lot of people, I've seen plenty of people be like, look, I didn't like the guy, or I think he's this, or I think he's that, but no one should have to go through this. Okay, you're sort of halfway there. I think a lot of people that have really negative opinions about him probably haven't actually watched the videos of him debating or anything like that, because it was always really respectful, especially as a guy that was known for being very devout in his faith. He never held people to the confines of his beliefs. He would basically be like, well, what do you believe? And then debate them within their own kind of moral standard that they gave him. So, yeah, I mean, this is we lost Martin Luther King Jr. like this. We lost Bobby Kennedy just a couple months later. Two people that weren't president or anything like that, but carried a huge political weight. And today we've lost another person that isn't, technically holding a position of power. And it's really ugly, unfortunately. So anyways, we're going to press on. We're going to talk about movies. I'm going to say what's up to you guys. I just wanted to get that out. Again, we're not going to talk about it here. This isn't the forum for it. If you want to reach out to me through a DM or something, you are more than welcome to. Yeah, I'm never going to say that I won't debate something, because then I really am a fascist at that point. So just be careful. If you say you're not going to debate something, at least I am going to assume that you're into fascism, or at least in your personal life, you're okay with that. But let's go ahead and say what's up to everybody. We've got a few news items to cover, folks. Horror news items, not global news or U.S. news. And yeah, we've got a couple of those items to share. And then we're going to be jumping into Decades of Dread Part 3. So this is a continuation of our examination of the evolution of horror. So in our first part, we covered 60s, 70s, 80s. Last week, we talked about the 90s and the 2000s. And this week, we're going to close it out with talking about the 2010s and the 2020s so far. We're a little over halfway there, right? So yeah, we're going to talk about the tropes, the themes, how the evolution of horror has gone in these last decade and a half-ish. And we're also going to talk about some of our favorite movies in these times. So feel free to start dropping some movies that you want to make sure that we mention. I will do my best to star those chats as they come in. If I miss them, feel free to just put them back in once we start talking about that decade. We're not going to get sore about it or anything like that. And yeah, there's a poll in the chat. So if you want to take part in the poll, what's the defining horror trend of the 2010s? The options are elevated horror, remakes/reboots, streaming horror, or found footage. And right now we've got just over 20 votes, and remakes and reboots are really clean at house, but it's relatively close with the other three. So that's interesting. I thought found footage was going to be like one of the heavy hitters here. If you're, watching along, make sure to participate in the vote. And you know what, guys? You know what bums me out the most is when the number of votes outweighs the number of likes on the stream. So please make sure, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this after the fact, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share the channel with someone who you think would dig this kind of content. And especially for you folks that are watching after the fact, thank you so much. Jump on into the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on the news items we cover and our discussion on Decades of Dread Part 3. And for everyone that's watching live, you guys rock. Thank you so much for making me not feel like I'm alone. You guys are amazing. We do have a super chat goal for the folks that are watching live. Again, super chats aren't required or anything like that. But if you want to watch a movie over on Discord and you want that to be a public watch party where it's not exclusive to the members, it would just take 5 super chats of $5 or more, and we'll get that cooking. Just shaking it up on the super chat goal. 10 super chats of $2 or more, and I'm like, maybe it's just better to go with 5 of 5. Maybe it is. I don't know. Anywho, we have 18 people kicking it with us right now. You guys are amazing. I'm going to say what's up to y'all, and then we're going to jump into some news before moving over to our discussion. We got Ashton Luck. What's happening, Ashton? Chester Franklin Jr., Lamontre Gillard. How you guys doing? We got Shot by Shot. Not feeling too good, but hoping that this stream brings him happiness. Yes, we're going to do our best, bud. So hang with us, and we're bound to have a good time. I truly believe it. We got King Matthew III jumping on in. What's happening, King Matthew? So good to see you as well. Jay Beach kicking it with us as well. We've got Brett from Good Real Hunting, as well as Chills and Thrills, one of our great channel members and Death Squad mods. Hope you're doing well, Brett. Always a pleasure to see you. Guys, I will be appearing on Good Real Hunting this Friday. They're celebrating their 5th anniversary. So put your hands together in the chat. Let me see some of the chat little emojis and all that kind of fun stuff for 5 years of Good Real Hunting. So that'll be cool to kick it with those guys. I've kicked it with Brad and Brett. I've never, other than being in the chat when Chris has been on, I've never interacted. So hopefully it's the whole gang, and that'll be great. We'll let you know more about that. And feel free, Brett, if you have a link ready to go, I'd imagine you do, feel free to share that in the chat. You are more than welcome to do so, sir. We got Gene Whitacombe in the house. What's happening, Gene? So good to see ya. We got Dean Renner, one of our Patreon members, channel members, and Death Squad mods. He's a triple threat. Oh, happy early birthday for Dean. Dean, what day is your birthday? What day's the birthday, Dean? I need to know. Tell my baby girl because I need to know. We got Todd bound in the chat. How are you doing, Todd? So great to see you. One of our great channel members there, Todd Bound. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Who else has joined us? We got Adrian James. What's happening, Adrian? So good to see you. Aaron Click is in the house. How you doing, Aaron? Who else do we have? We got Brooke Scarlett, the lovely Miss Brooke Scarlett, one of our great channel members and Death Squad mods. A double threat. How about that? Who else do we have in here? We got the Oct. Just 51 days until Halloween, y'all. That's crazy. I remember when the Oct was jumping in saying over 100. So pretty wild. Absolutely. Let's see here. What do we got? We got Blu-ray Addict in the house. What's happening, Blu-ray? Always a pleasure to have you jump on in with us, good sir. We got Jamie Hart, our original Death Squad mod, our mama mod, and a YouTube channel member. How are you doing, Jamie? How was the 25th anniversary? I hope it was amazing. I hope it was very, very beautiful and lovely. And what did the kids do for you? Anything cool? Did they at least, leave you alone a little bit? Let's see what else we got. I'm on the camera mic. Interesting. You are right. That's so bizarre. Let me see here. Is that better? Does that sound better, everyone? I don't know why it does that sometimes, guys. I thought if I had Focusrite plugged in, I hear it through Focusrite. That's what my headphones are plugged into the computer. As long as I have it plugged in before I go into StreamYard, it usually seems to work well. But let me know in the chat if the microphone is sounding better. Gosh, I sure hope so, because I can't. Nothing grinds my gears more than getting off a stream. It happened a couple months ago, a couple months ago, and it's like, oh my god, the audio is just like unusable. I mean, it's not terrible. I just kind of hate it. We got a $1.99 super chat from Brett of Good Real Hunting. I am ready for Friday, Brett. Bring it on. Yeah, tickle that like button, y'all. Tickle that like button. Let's see here. We got Ben Grimm in the house. What's happening, Brett? Ben Grimm, and I'm just molding them together. You know what it is, guys? I'm freaking out about the audio now, and I hope that it's all good. Ben is one of our great channel members. So good to see you, Ben. Welcome on in. Oh my gosh, we've got Gavin, Mr. Mud Nelson. Gav, I saw you on Instagram or something pop up, and I was like, oh, I miss Gavin. I hope he comes back in and says what's up sometime. Hell yeah, Gav. So great to see you. Let's see who else we got here. It's good now. It's good. All right. It's good now. Perfect. All right. Excellent. Yes. Thank you so much, Chester. Guys, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. All that good stuff. Let me check the poll here really quick before we move on, because maybe I just throw another poll up in the chat while we're at it. We got 26 votes. I'm going to close this one out. I'm going to get a fresh poll going for us, just so that way when we're in our discussion, we've got a little something to add there. 26 votes, guys. Remakes and reboots got 46% of the votes for what the defining trend of horror in the 2010s was. Elevated horror coming in second place with 26%, found footage with 15%, and streaming horror with 11%. All right, and I'm going to get another poll going on there in the chat. So just give me 1 sec here while I get this one all ready for you. All right, there we are. Let's see who else we got. Okay. Who else we got? Because this poll is going to be which director shaped modern horror the most. Very interesting. I'm curious to know what you guys think of this one here. So let me get that going there. Boom. New poll in the chat. Have some fun with that one. Guys, let's get into some horror news. Oh, hey, well, that's great news, Gav. Hell yeah. Been living a busy life full of activities with a new girlfriend the last 2 months. Heck yeah. Well, tell her hi from the Death Squad, okay? Just let her know that we care. And, it's okay if she takes you away from us, as long as you can occasionally come back and say what's up. The 80s were really the decade of remakes. Well, yeah, I mean, we had a lot in the early, the 2000s and the 2010s. There were quite a bit. I mean, there's always kind of a lot, but I think in the 80s, the ones that like really stick out to me are like The Thing, The Blob, The Fly. Those are like the 3 biggies that I think of. I'm trying to think if there were any other really big remakes in the 80s. But yeah, I mean, man, so many in the 2000s and the 2010s. But let's see what we got here. I know, guys, I'm always covering news here on the channel. Hopefully it doesn't bum you out. Hopefully that's one of the reasons why you come here. And I'm sure you guys have seen the little news clips videos that pop up. Those are just the literally
clipping or news bits. Those are just the clips from these live shows, and it's been a great way to grow the community. Right now, we are sitting, as far as sub count goes, we are sitting at 1736, so we continue to grow. I'm not sure if we're going to get to that 2,000 mark before Halloween, but I'm not going to be bummed out if we don't. I know that 2,000 is coming our way before year's end, so we're just going to keep on pushing and keep on doing what we do. Speaking of doing what we do, the Discord server is super fun, and it's a great way to keep in touch with community members in between streams. So the link is down in the description. You guys can join up for free. All you need is a Discord account. If you are a channel member, about half of the streams are going to be over on Discord. We're going to do mixtape parties, watch parties, where we actually can show the movie and listen to the music. You don't have to queue it up yourself, which is totally killer. And then for people that aren't members, we've done one official public watch party over there. We watched Evil Dead from 2013, which we're going to talk about tonight. And Erica showed The Black Phone the other night, and Scary Movie a couple nights ago. So every now and then there's just sort of a surprise watch party over there. So it's definitely worth signing up for, whether you're a member or not. But especially if you're a member, that's where you're going to get a lot of really cool exclusive shit, if you know what I mean. What's happening, Brett Patrick? Hope you are doing well. Great to see you. Guys, Pat That Halloween Movie Collector, what Pat and Brett do over there, so much damn fun. You got to give Pat That Halloween Movie Collector a sub if you have not already. And with that said, let's jump into the news. How about it? Let me just do that. There we go. All right. Are y'all ready for this? Right? Anyone familiar? I don't know. Maybe for the youngins, they have no idea what I'm talking about. Any crap. Here we go. All right, guys. So just yesterday, we got a story about a new Amityville film. Let me just restart that. All right, guys, just yesterday we got news of a new Amityville movie coming our way. The article here from Bloody Disgusting comes to us by way of Alex DiVincenzo, who I think is my favorite writer over there. Alex, really dig what you do, man. The headline reads, Lights Out director David F. Sandberg to helm new Amityville horror from The Conjuring Last Rites writer. So let's jump into this. I don't know if this is going to be a remake, if it's just going to be kind of a continuation or like a legacy sequel for all intents and purposes. So let's see what we got here coming our way from David F. Sandberg. So the article says, David F. Sandberg has signed on to direct a new Amityville horror movie for Amazon. I'm off to a great start, guys. David F. Sandberg has signed on to direct a new Amityville horror movie for Amazon MGM Studios, Deadline reports. Ian Goldberg and Richard Nang have been tapped to pen the script, described as a reimagining of the original horror classic. Further details are under wraps. All right, so we're getting a remake, another Amityville remake. Guys, I'm so curious whether you're watching live or you're watching after the fact. Let me know your thoughts. Do you want another remake of Amityville, or do you just want another story within that universe? I mean, I guess it makes sense that the people that wrote The Conjuring Last Rites are writing this. I'm not the biggest, I'm sort of, these movies, these like haunted house movies that are like based on a true story, I'm kind of over it. Like, they're so far away from the true story. And then the more you find out about the true story, you realize it's kind of a bunch of bullshit. So why not just make something that's made up anyways? Because I like haunted house movies, those kind of supernatural slow burn. But the ones that I think of, like The Innkeepers or The Changeling with George C. Scott, those are not based on reality. And I think they do a lot better when they're not based on reality. I think when we try to act like this shit really happened for reals, whatever it is, for me, I just get less and less interested. So anyways, that's just a quick aside, little editorial from your guy, Davey Deathray. The article continues. Sandberg will produce alongside the Safran companies, Peter Safran and John Rickard. Sandberg's partner, Lotta Lawston, will executive produce with the Safran Company's Natalia Safran. Whole bunch of Safran going on. Sandberg previously collaborated with the Safran Company on Annabelle Creation and Shazam. The Amityville horror stems from Jay Anson's 1977 book based on allegedly true claims of paranormal experiences by the family who moved into a Long Island home where a young man previously killed his family. The novel was adapted into the 1979 horror film of the same name, starring James Brolin and Margot Kidder, launching a long-running film franchise and spawning a remake starring Ryan Reynolds and Melissa George in 2005. This is the second high-profile Amityville horror movie in the works, with writer-directors Joseph and Vanessa Winter developing... Dude, already I'm with all the mistakes. This is the second high-profile Amityville horror movie in the works, with writers-directors Joseph and Vanessa Winter developing Amityville for Boulder Light Pictures and Divide and Conquer. And then we've just got a poster for the original film there. Man, I feel like this story, I would just rather see another movie that just takes place like in this world that's totally made up. Just give me a completely fabricated story. Don't try to sell me something that's probably a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, those are my feelings, guys. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a grump about it. Let me know what you guys think in the live chat if you're watching along right now. If you're watching after the fact, thank you so much for tuning in. Give me your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the channel with someone who you think would dig this kind of content, because we're covering all sorts of horror movie news and even horror TV, video games, comic books, whatever. As long as it strikes our fancy or piques our interest, we're going to cover it right here on the Davey Death Ray channel. So make sure you've got that notification bell struck and you won't miss a thing. Okay, guys, what do you got for Amityville? Am I just being a total grump over here? I don't know. Let's see what we got. I've never heard of any of the Amityville horror films because I'm not really interested in those kinds of horror films. Wow. Never even heard of them? Amityville remake reimagining. Yeah. Haven't seen this director's work. Don't care for this IP. Yeah. I've seen Lights Out. Lights Out is good. Yeah, it's good. Nothing that like completely blew me away, but it was good. I'm confused on how they're going to reimagine it this time. I don't know. I guess maybe the dad doesn't have like a 12-pack in this version. Is that the reimagining? Like he's not going to be ripped to shit like Ryan Reynolds was? I don't know. Yeah, and I have no interest in the new Conjuring. Yeah. I'm so over these, and it's a shame because I like the subgenre in essence. I just find it really boring when it's like, we're going to try to trick a bunch of teenagers and young 20-somethings into thinking that this shit was actually real. Like, blech. Gavin, I love this movie. Lights Out, perfect movie to watch at midnight with the lights off. I think is Lights Out. I know it was based on a short. I think it was Sandberg's short as well, if I'm correct there. I even think, is Lights Out PG-13? I remember it being really effective, even though it didn't strike me as something overly gory or anything like that. They just had a really good idea. Todd says, the only Amity movie I liked was the second. The Entity was freaking amazing for a movie based on a true story. Yeah, I've heard Amityville 2, The Possession, is the best one. I think, Jamie, you've said that as well, or you've recommended that one. And Jamie says, I'm so sick of remakes, redos, reimagining, everything. It's boring and exhausting. Yes. Yes, it is, Jamie. That's why I'm happy we've got, new movies in the Evil Dead franchise instead of just remakes or, that even the last time when we got Halloween movies, I know people are sick of Michael to varying degrees, but at least it wasn't just another reboot, So, yeah, there's still some good stuff out there, but it's just whatever's bankable. People just want to lean on, Subgenre has never done it for me, and the modern ones are even worse. Yeah. The jump scares, even like I love Bloody Disgusting, don't get me wrong. They're my #1 news source for the horror stuff. But they even had like an article, and it's not their fault. Of course, they're going to cover this kind of thing when there's a new movie in the franchise, but they're like the 6 best jump scares in the Conjuring universe. And I'm like, fuck that. man, that's what we're talking about, is like the jump scares. I mean, you can have good jump scares in a movie. They've got to be well earned. They certainly, at least in my opinion, shouldn't be something that are celebrated. They should be, jump scares should be like icing on the cake. It should be like the last thing, just a little bit of sweetness. It can't be the whole cake. It just can't. Not interested. It's one of the big reasons why I just don't like those It movies that came out 10 years ago or whatever. Ugh, not into those. Good luck trying to reimagine Amityville with when all the ladies still love Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, he's hot when he's chopping wood. Yep. We got A-Troll Campbell in the house, one of our great channel members. What's happening, A-Troll? Great to see ya. It seems when they Aaron Click agrees. I feel like not so big of a grump right now. Then it seems when they try to sell haunted house movies as true stories, they're usually watered down. Yeah, and they have to make up so much of it anyways, you know. So why not just make up the whole thing, you know, the whole damn thing. You're correct, and I do think it's PG-13. Okay, yeah, I thought Lights Out's pretty good for what it is, right? There it is. There it is. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's like virtue signaling. I mean, I've heard that too, Aaron, that they were just kind of snake oil salesmen. I think that's a fair criticism. I mean, they made their living doing that. Imagine if you made your living doing something that like people extra have a tough time proving whether or not it's real. You know what I mean? Like, and so you have to get people to buy into this supernatural world in order to pay you money to deal with it. And I think that's probably something they've left out of all these movies, is the conversation about money, which must have been a thing, unless they were just independently wealthy, which I, very, very highly doubt. What's happening, Maxwell King? How you doing? Okay, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the next one here. I'm only covering this one because of you guys. All right. You people. And what I mean when I say you people is you people that put Scary Movie in Mount Rushmore worthy when we did our live tier maker ranking of horror franchises. I can't believe it. It was there with the big three. It was above Tremors and Poltergeist and other shit. Hellraiser. Scary Movie. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, you guys. I just don't know what to think. I just don't know what to think. But all right, guys, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the Scary Movie franchise, I know you all are, and I care about you. So we're going to cover this story here. From John Squires of Bloody Disgusting, the headline reads, Scary Movie 6. Marlon Wayans names 7 horror movies being spoofed in the franchise's return. And just to be fair, I think the second Scary Movie has some funny moments. It's just, even though I'm a guy that I don't mind, like, bathroom humor or sexual humor or anything like that, I just, I grew up with Airplane, The Naked Gun, Top Secret, Hot Shots, that kind of stuff. And those movies had that kind of humor, but they had a whole bunch of other humor. I feel like Scary Movie kind of leans on stuff that they think is dangerous, but just comes off as like ridiculously sophomoric, in my opinion. That's all. But I love you guys, so we're covering it. Let's get into the article. It starts out with, the Scary Movie franchise returns to the big already. The Scary Movie franchise returns to the big screen next year with Scary Movie 6, with Marlon Wayans, Sean Wayans, and Keenan Ivory Wayans back to write the new movie, and franchise stars Anna Faris and Regina Hall set to lead the cast. But which horror movies do the Wayans brothers plan on spoofing in next year's big franchise reunion? Much has changed about the horror genre in the 25 years since the Scary Movie franchise was launched, with countless new classics for the brothers to spoof this time around. Speaking with comicbook.com, Marlon Wayans spills the beans on some of the films he's going after. Quote, there are just so many great horror movies to pull from that we plan on having a field day, Wayans tells the outlet, and he mentions the following recent horror films specifically. I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, Heretic, Longlegs, Get Out, Nope, and Sinners. And here's the full quote from Marlon Wayans. Quote, I mean, I'm just a fan of the whole genre. I Know What You Did Last Summer may have something in there. I think the Scream franchise is always a great one. I think Heretic was a wonderful film. Longlegs, Get Out, Nope. There are just so many great horror films to pull from that we plan on having a field day. Sinners. End quote. So he sneaks in Sinners. You know, you can tell the gears are just kind of going in his head as he's thinking of all these franchises. And I think, you know, they already did I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream last time around. So you got to kind of touch on those for sure. I'm hoping we get something with like the Legacy sequel, like, you know, make fun of Old Man Myers in the David Gordon Green Halloween movies. I hope there's a little something, even if it's just a quick reference. I hope we get something like that because I feel like we missed out on that with the last run of, you know, scary movie entries. So let's see here. To finish out the article, we've got Michael Titties. Is that how you say his name? Titties? But how do you say this last name? Michael Tittis is directing the franchise's upcoming 6th installment, releasing on June 12th, 2026, with Rick Alvarez writing and producing alongside the Wayans brothers. And then we just get into the background on the franchise and everything. I don't feel the need to go into that, but check out this low-res image here of the original Scary Movie poster. That is choppy as all get out. You can't even read anything. It's amazing. But I'm curious to know, because you guys voted this as Mount Rushmore worthy. This franchise is Mount Rushmore worthy, apparently. Very curious to know from you guys in the live chat, your thoughts on Scary Movie 6. Which films do you want to see them parody? And for you folks that are watching after the fact, thank you so much for jumping on in. Go down in the comments, let me know the movies that you want to see them make fun of, and let me know if you're a fan of this franchise. Maybe I'm just being a grumpy old guy about it, but really only kind of liked the second movie. The others just really aren't for me. But no matter what you do, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the channel with someone who you think would dig this kind of content, because we're going to be covering all sorts of horror news, whether or not I like the franchise, if I think it's something of note or something that you guys are interested in, or it's just on the tongues of everyone out there, we are going to cover it here. So make sure you hit that notification bell and you won't miss a thing. Okay, guys, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got for me here. Today's might be the best last names in existence. I know, like, what is that? Today's. I don't even know how to... Tittis? That guy must have had a tough time in grade school or middle school and high school. Actually, he probably still gets a tough time. I'm giving him a tough time right now. So what can you do? Yeah, sacrilege to have it be in Mount Rushmore worthy. Yeah, brutal. You gotta parody Terrifier. Oh, they gotta parody that the masturbation scene with the glass or whatever from Terrifier 3. You gotta riff on that. I mean, that's right up their street with the friggin' all the sexual humor. Let's see here. I hope Scary Movie 6 could at least parody Happy Death Day. That would be cool, because I know they're gonna parody Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah, I guess it's going to be interesting because there's been so many movies. How far back do they go? Because when you do these parodies, you want to make sure it's like relatively new, right? Like you don't want to just like, you can't even make fun of like Evil Dead Rise, really, at this point. It's like a little too old. So I don't know if they're going to do Happy Death Day or anything like that. Let's see. What else do we got here? Pumped for Scary Movie 6. I really like the first 3 movies. First couple were just okay, says Aaron Click. Shannon Elizabeth sucked as Buffy in Scary Movie 1. Yeah, Scary Movie 1. Oh, jeez. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I've only seen the first. Yeah. They're not very great. Scary Movie 1 through 3, then stop. 4 and 5 lose all the fun of the original. I'm happy. Yeah, because then it got to the point where it was all the epic movie and date movie, and it was just, they were all so bad. That's the way I think too, Aaron. Come and Bush, Bush and Come. That sums up Scary Movie. Yep. Yeah, just like beyond sophomoric for sure. That's probably the best part of the movie, Blu-ray. Yeah, the opening's pretty funny. When they do the shake your ass on the piano, that's my favorite part for sure. Let's see here. What do we got? I'd rather not know what they are spoofing. It would be funnier if it's a surprise. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really hoping we get Old Man Myers. I could see, the poster that we're looking at right now for the original film. They always kind of do that sort of a parody poster, or they give you little hints of what they might cover. I hope that we see like ridiculously old Michael Myers mask would be hilarious. I'd love that. Yeah, the people singing makes more fun than, yeah, this is the real shit. Oh yeah, that opening of Scary Movie 2. Yeah. We need crazy hair Annabelle Ferris as Laurie. I mean, they're bringing her back. Yeah, even though Anna Faris is, to me, has like zero charisma. Her and Marlon Wayans, like as far as comedy goes, I just don't think they have any. Yeah, I don't think they're good at all. Yeah, pretty bad stuff. I'm such a jerk about all of this. Let's see what else we got. We got K Dabs in the house. What's happening, K Dabs? Hope you are doing well. We got Cruel ZV. What's happening, Cruel? Hope you are doing well. Let's see what else we got going on. Shannon Elizabeth is a beautiful angel. How dare you? Well, that's not, that's beside the fact. You can be beautiful and be a bad actress for sure. Jessica Alba. I think they can go pretty far back if what they parody has become somewhat of a modern classic or it's pretty iconic. That's true. I just think that they're going to be going for, I guess maybe they are going for older people that watch the originals, but I think they're also going to be trying to appeal to late teens, early 20-somethings. Have him spoof elevated horror like Ari Aster, Eggers, and maybe the Peel movies. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I can't. She's just really bad. She is the unfunny. Her and Marlon Wayans are a funny vacuum. That's what they are. They just suck up all the funny in the room. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and knock out the last couple items here. Let's see. I can't believe this shit. They're like, the final movie in the franchise, and then like the day after it comes out, we're making a TV series. Oh, fuck me. Okay, here we go, guys. All right, guys, even though we've got news. All right, I'm going to start that over. Okay, guys, even though it's been highly advertised that The Conjuring Last Rites is the last film in the franchise, about 48 hours or 72 hours after the movie comes out, whenever it was, I guess just yesterday, actually, we got an announcement here that the Conjuring television series is moving forward at HBO Max. So they just couldn't leave it alone. I know the reviews haven't been great for Last Rites, but it's bringing in quite a bit of bucks. So I guess I'm not super surprised. Not really surprised. Oh my God, it's probably going to be a prequel series. There's probably going to be younger actors taking over for the Warrens. I wouldn't be surprised. But let's read the article from our guy, John Squires, over at Bloody Disgusting and see what we got. All right. While The Conjuring Last Rites breaks records at the box office, both for the Conjuring universe and the horror genre at large, Variety reports this afternoon that a previously announced The Conjuring television series is officially moving forward at HBO Max. Nancy Wan will serve as the project showrunner, writer, and executive producer, Variety reports. Peter Cameron and Cameron Squires have also boarded the series as writers. There's a jet flying above me. James Wan's Atomic Monster Productions and Peter Safran's The Safran Company will produce the franchise's very first small screen project in association with WB-TV. The series will, quote, continue the story established in the feature films, end quote. The Conjuring Last Rites was billed as the final installment in the franchise universe's Phase 1, with the film's massive box office success ensuring that the franchise isn't going anywhere anytime soon. The Conjuring films are based on the real-life case files of paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, respectively. There are currently 9 films in the Conjuring universe. Jesus. There are currently 9 films in the Conjuring universe. The Conjuring, Annabelle, The Conjuring 2, Annabelle Creation, The Nun, Annabelle Comes Home, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, The Nun 2, and this year's The Conjuring Last Rites. All right, so there we go. It's going to be a continuation. It's not going to be a prequel. So are they getting Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga to play the characters in the TV show? Is it going to be, anthological? Are we going to focus more on the families? I guess all of that is yet to be seen, guys, but I'm curious to know your thoughts on, first off, let me know what you think about this Conjuring universe. I think I've only seen the first 2 films within this whole universe. So the first 2 Conjuring films, I haven't seen any of the side stuff. Again, these like based on a true story haunting movies just don't really do much for me, because I kind of think the true story is bullshit. So never really did it for me or anything like that. I think the first 2 movies are good. But I'm curious to know what you guys think of this universe. If you're just more in the kind of mainline Conjuring movies, not so much the ones that are the offshoots. And what do you think about a TV show produced by HBO? I'm curious to know. I mean, we got James Wan involved. I don't know if you guys are fans or not. Let me know in the live chat. If you're watching this after the fact, thank you so much for checking it out. Jump on into the comments. Let me know your thoughts down there. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the channel with someone who you think would dig this kind of content, because we're covering all sorts of horror news here on the channel, and you're going to want to make sure to have that notification bell hit so you don't miss a thing. Okay, guys, what do you got for me? What you got? Let's see what we got. We got him in the chat. What's happening, him? So great to see you. I'm doing well. Him, are you going to go see the movie Him here in a week and a half? Or just over a week? Let me know. Let me know. Davey, leave. There's a jet flying above me in the clip just for the randomness. I know I live not too far away from Luke Air Force Base, guys. So it's probably 15 miles away or something like that. So they fly at all sorts of times of the day. So every now and then, you know, that was just one. But sometimes it's like for minutes on end, we get a whole bunch of jets flying above us over here. So, you know, those guys got to practice what they're doing. I hope they spoof YouTube horror reviewers like us. That would be great. Yeah. We'll bring the dead meat people in there. They've already appeared in other franchises. Honestly, like, even though, you know, I'm so happy for their success. James is a little too high energy for me, even though I'm a Jim Carrey fan. But his energy is great for film. And I think he's probably a better actor and, or, you know, better performer than half of the actors they have in the movie, I'm sure. He's got more charisma than Marlon or Anna Faris. So yeah, bring in James from Dead Meat. You might as well. Might as well. More Conjuring? Yes, please, says Brett from Good Real Hunting. I know you're a huge fan. I like the first 2 movies. Don't get me wrong. I can't believe there's 9 movies in that franchise. I have like ignored the franchise for the most part. I might have seen one of the Annabelle movies and just can't really remember it, guys. Let's see what else we got going on. Honestly, if they're doing a series of The Conjuring, it better be a prequel. It's going to be a continuation. I guess continuation, we'll see what that means. Paula, how you doing? So great you could join us. Aaron is not excited about the TV show. Sorry to be a Debbie Downer, but at least I'm watching, matching Davy's enthusiasm. Yeah, I just got to be real, guys. I'm not a doom tuber. I'll give you just my real thoughts on something. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it or anything like that. Of course, I mean, you can't really argue with the box office. So I can't sit here and say, this thing is crap and we don't need any more of it. What I can say is this thing isn't really for me. But any horror that does well, like, I'm pumped. You know, it's good. It's good for horror. It's good for us. It means we're going to get, you know, we are going to get more mainstream stuff, but it means that there's money there for other creators to take a chance. You know, it's that we wouldn't get movies like Weapons Together or Sinners if no horror ever did well, right? We wouldn't get like Long Legs or Late Night with the Devil or Strange Darling or Heretic if it was only, you know, if none of these like Conjuring movies or any of these mainstream movies didn't do well. So I'm all for it, even if it's not my cup of tea. Let's see what else we got going on. From what I've heard, there's possibly the talk of a prequel movie. Now, this TV series, in a series, they can cover multiple cases from the Warrens and do them in like 60 to 75 minute episodes. Yeah, you could even have, each episode could be its own case, but you could also have like an overarching kind of story, you know, like a B story that goes throughout the whole season. Jamie says, I like the Conjuring universe. At least they're fresh, not remakes. Fair enough. Yes. Isn't the Curse of La Llorona also part of the Conjuring universe? That should at least be 10 films. I'm not sure. I remember that movie being a thing, but I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat can fill us in on that one. Hoping the Conjuring universe and Jason universe crossover. Yes. And then what will they sell, Ben? Selling like cookies, Keebler elves, getting some cookies going or something like that. Sweet Revenge 2, the cookie-ing. All right, let's see what else we got here. La Llorona is like a loose tie-in. Okay. I know it's based on an actual like Mexican folklore. I mean, that story is a story I've heard, you know, when I was a kid, and the short story version that I've heard is way better than anything that the movie looked like it was doing, if I'm correct. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, guys. Looks like we're all caught up on that. It is part of the Conjuring universe, says Aaron. All right. And we got Dell on Movies in the House. What's happening, Dell? So good to see you, bud. We got Gina of My Chunky Jordy hanging out with us as well. All the way from across the pond, one of our great channel members. How you doing, Gina? So good to see you. Okay, guys, let's knock out a trailer. And then we're going to get into the discussion. I know, it's been a while. We've been chatting. We've been chit-chatting, all that fun stuff. We're going to get into the 2010s and the 2020s with Decades of Dread, of course. But I'm curious to know what you guys think of this Coyotes movie with Justin Long and Kate Bosworth. I watched the trailer just before because I wanted to see if it was worth showing. And then I'm like, after I watched it, I'm like, I need to put this out to the people and have them tell me what the hell's going on here. So this one will be quick. We're just going to get through the article here. We're going to watch the trailer. I'll give you my thoughts on it, and then we'll jump on into our Decades of Dread conversation. Have a little sip of water here. Okay, guys, so we've got a red band trailer for the film Coyotes, which is a horror comedy that pits Justin Long and Kate Bosworth against savage animals. And this article comes to us by way of Alex DiVincenzo over at Bloody Disgusting. Thank you so much, Alex. We got that image there of the titular coyote, or one of the titular coyotes. And let's check this article out. Real-life spouses Justin Long and Kate Bosworth discover that the darkness has teeth in the red band trailer for Coyotes. Directed by Colin Minahan, the eco-horror comedy will premiere at Fantastic Fest in Austin, Texas on September 20th before hitting theaters on October 3rd via Aura Entertainment. When a scorching wildfire hits the Hollywood heels, very topical here, by the way. I'm going to start that over. When a scorching wildfire hits the Hollywood hills, a family is stranded as their neighborhood is destroyed and their home becomes a blazing prison. Meanwhile, a pack of predatory coyotes, disoriented by the fires, tighten their perimeter around the house. Rendered powerless by collapsing roads and no electricity, the family must rely on their courage, resilience, and love for one another to survive both the inferno and the snarling threat outdoors. All right, and we've got a whole bunch of people starring in this one. I'll just put that up on the screen for you. And the last little bit we have from the article is Fantastic Fest programmer Sarah Lopo writes, quote, Coyotes combines the claustrophobic dread of home invasion with brutal eco-horror, sugar-coated with various humorous situations. The film's atmospheric intensity, tight pacing, and escalating stakes channel the distinctive unpredictability of nature gone rogue and the disastrous consequences of the forced displacement of wildlife, end quote. And guys, let's just go ahead and get into it with the trailer here. All right, this is Red Band. There are naughty words, and it's 2.5 minutes long. I understand that maybe trailers aren't everyone's cup of tea, but so if you have to dip out, more power to you. I'm not going to fault you for it, but I am going to pause the music, and we will get this trailer going right meow.
Gigi, walk. Oh my god, I'm so done with this dog.
Oh my god, I love your dog.
Gigi, go potty now. It's exhausting being this hot.
Are you all worried about the tree out front?
I'm not worried.
Oh my god. You did say that you were going to trim it last year.
I can wait till tomorrow.
Guys. Oh, there's something outside.
Okay. Give me.
No, right now.
Right now.
Wow.
Make sure it's okay.
Shoot! Just.
What was it?
Oh, she's a sketchy little coyote. No big deal.
Get it.
Do you hear that sound? Sounds like somebody singing or dying. Oh, it's gone now.
Make it open door.
Get it.
Inside. Is it bad?
No, don't look.
Why? Why don't you want me to look? Everybody in? Everybody okay? Hey! This is definitely a bad idea. They want your shelter, your food, your water, your sanity. I just want to say, we're all going to live happily ever after. I hope those aren't my last words. You don't want to shoot the neighbor!
Fuck away!
Go!
Get the fuck off my husband! It's like in that movie. You know the one where all the birds attack everyone?
The birds.
No, that's not the one.
And I've been muted the whole time. You guys, I'm so sorry. I see everyone's like, you're muted. Oh, should I just end the stream right now? Should I just click the button right now to end the stream? Let me know, guys. Let me know. Yeah, anyways, it probably looked amazing watching me talk without, having any audio coming through. Let me see if I can remember everything I said. Ashton had said, Justin Long in a horror movie, take my money. And then, just to give context to the chat that I put out there in the live, I said, Justin Long in a horror movie that has a dark comedic edge? No. Because it seems like this guy is in one of these movies at least once a year for like the last 10 years, dark comedic horror film. And yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm curious to know what you guys think of this one, because they give away a lot in the trailer, which to me sort of says that maybe they don't believe in the premise selling the movie enough, so they have to give so much away in the trailer to make you feel like you're hooked. There's a lot of this like dark humor in here. I think the humor looks to be pretty all right. Hopefully they're not giving away the best moments in the film, because they're showing quite a bit here in the 2.5 minute runtime of the trailer. But I am curious just to know what you guys think, if this is kind of your speed, if you're interested in this kind of flick. I don't know. It seems like it might have those Death of a Unicorn kind of vibes, where it's a movie that doesn't really know what it is and doesn't have a very even tone. But I'm curious to know what you guys think, whether you're hanging out in the live chat or you are watching after the fact. Thank you so much. Jump on into the comments. Let me know your thoughts on this Coyotes trailer, this Red Band trailer for the new Justin Long, Kate Bosworth film. And make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share the channel with someone who you think would dig this kind of content, and make sure you've got that notification bell hit, because we're covering all sorts of horror news. Even if it's something like this that I'm kind of lukewarm on, but I want to know what you guys think, we cover that right here on the channel. So make sure that bell is clicked and you won't miss a thing. Okay, guys, thank you so much for letting me know about the muted mic. Although I think I realized, I looked at the screen and was like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking muted. Let's see here. Keep trucking, partner. I'm very good, Wander This World. I'm like, it's so engaging, you know, even though it's just a mime, it's very, very engaging. Haven't heard anything in 4 minutes. Was it really that long? Oh my goodness. Yeah, you know, if I stare at the chat the whole time, I'm not going to be able to rant and rave. We got the Oct dropping a $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Says horror and comedy go well together when done right. I absolutely agree. Dell on Movie says, to be honest, I just don't get the Justin Long hype. I hear you, man. I'm like, I don't completely hate him, but people seem to be like super in love with Justin Long anytime he shows up anywhere, and I'm just like, yeah, he's serviceable. You know, he did like a fine job. It was okay. You know, he didn't make or break it for me. Nothing like that. Yeah, and not every movie is this bad about it, but yeah, 2 minutes 25 seconds, you know, they're gonna give away quite a bit. I'll probably go see it in a discount theater, maybe on discount day. All right, there you go. We got Chad from Chud's Corner in the house. What's happening, Chad? Great to see ya. Let's see here. No, it wasn't that. Yeah, I don't. Maybe 2 minutes. Maybe 2 minutes. A little dead air, as Frank from Always Sunny says. Okay, guys, we're gonna move on over to the discussion at hand here. So let me go ahead and scooch this on in. Guys, we're here for Decades of Dread, even though we've been talking bullshit and covering news for 58 minutes and muted for a couple of those 58 minutes. Decades of Dread, this is part 3. This is us finally catching up. We started in the 60s 2 weeks ago, and now we're catching up through 2025. So, you know, this is where we talk about our, you know, feelings on the evolution of horror throughout the decades. You know, we talk about our favorite films from each decade, the tropes, the themes, just, you know, anything that kind of comes to mind when we're thinking about the evolution of horror. So let me know your feelings on, let's go ahead and start with 2010s. Let me know, guys, some of your favorite movies from the horror movies from the 2010s. And then also feel free to kind of, you know, throw out some of your, you know, some of the favorite tropes or themes in those movies. So I've got some pulled up here. What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to end the poll that's in the chat. 34 votes on the poll. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for taking part in that. However, only 25 likes on the stream. It really bums me out when more people are voting and not hitting the like button. Because I think if you're voting on the poll, you've had a good enough time and you can hit the like because it's free. How about it? So 34 votes. This one was pretty tight, guys. Mike Flanagan wins with 32%. And Jordan Peele and Robert Eggers tied at 29% each. And Damien Leone just 8% there. So I had to throw out Damien Leone because I know we've seen this whole rash of, you know, splatter films that have essentially been happening because of Terrifier. Very low budget splatter films that really push the gore. So yeah, I had to put Leone in there, but it's interesting to see that he only got 8% of the votes. And let's see here. Let me go ahead and put out another poll here. Because I'm curious I just like getting your guys' thoughts on all this stuff, because one of the things we're going to talk about is the streaming, you know, era of horror that we've gotten here. So I'm curious to know which platform, in your opinion, delivers the best horror content, because they are all Netflix, Hulu, Shudder, and then of course what we're gonna put in here is theatrical releases. So if you think that the theater's still doing it best, or maybe you think Netflix, Shudder, and Hulu are doing it better than they're doing it in the theaters, let me know in the poll there that's in the chat. And yeah, let's talk about some 2010s horror movies that we really dig here. You guys have my heart. Ashton and Chester with Evil Dead. Yes, Evil Dead from 2013. Oh my goodness. My second favorite film in the franchise, of my, favorite horror franchise of all time. And a beautiful movie by Fede Alvarez. Man, Evil Dead 2013, so damn good. We watched it on the Discord just about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks-ish ago. Still so good. It really stands up, guys. And I can't believe it's already 12 years old. I guess like kind of 12 and a half years old. We're sort of pushing at this point. Let's see what else we got. My favorite horror movies from 2010 is Saw: The Final Chapter, Insidious, and Predators. Blu-ray Addict says 30 Days of Night. Is that really the 2010s? Really? I thought that was earlier than that. I really did. Gosh, sometimes the Brave browser just drives me nuts. 30 Days of Night, 2007. So last week would have been the week to talk about 30 Days of Night. That's what I thought. I was like, I don't think it was 2010s. Let's see what else we got here. Sinister, says Aaron Click. The long, dark hallways, walking through the house at night. A trope for sure, but done so effectively in this movie. Yeah, guys, Sinister, I really, really enjoy that movie. Stayed away from the sequel because you guys have told me it's terrible. So y'all are like, Davey, don't get near that sequel. And I listen. But yeah, really love that. What is that, 2012 or something like that? Man, Ethan Hawke lately with the horror films, I mean, even stuff like The Purge, which I never got into the Purge series or anything like that, but it's great to see an actor sort of switch gears and try something different later on in their career, or hopefully it's just the middle of his career, but relatively later on. I love seeing that. And yeah, Sinister, I mean, I guess some of the stuff was tropey, but also I think like they took some risks with the editing. In Sinister, they've got these really long tracking shots. There are no quick cuts really. It's almost like they want to build the tension and build the dread and get you to hold your breath because they're not cutting the shots. There's something about that when he's walking through the hallways, and we even have like the slow-mo kids running through the background, but he's moving at normal speed. And like, man, there's just really, really cool stuff going on in Sinister, and an ending that genuinely did surprise me. And all of the Super 8 film of the family murders and everything are so haunting in that Sinister movie. Yeah, very, very effective stuff, Aaron. And really quick, we didn't say much about Evil Dead other than I said I really liked it. I didn't really go into detail. And it's not the first time we've talked about Evil Dead here, but since we're talking about the evolution and the themes and the tropes and everything like that, in the early 2010s, we were still like riding that remake wave from the 2000s, because A Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake came out in 2010. I think the Hitcher remake came out in 2010. There was a lot of those that landed in 2010. And a lot of people consider Evil Dead from 2013 a remake. I don't consider it that, because to me, it's just a sequel in the franchise. It was kind of marketed as a remake though. So, I think one of the things that Evil Dead did really well, first off, it really ratcheted up the blood. So maybe now when you look at something like Terrifier, you're like, oh, Evil Dead 2013 doesn't push it that hard. But I tell you what, after watching it a week and a half ago, it really does still push it quite a bit. I think Evil Dead 2013 is still, to this day, one of the most brutally violent films I've ever seen. So that's certainly part of the evolution of horror in the 2010s. There's a darkness about it. There is a grittiness about it, but it still feels like an ode to the original film. It's taking everything seriously, and I think it's delivering the effects in a much more believable way, of course, than the original film. I just have so much nostalgia for the original film that I don't know if anything's going to replace it in the franchise. But Evil Dead 2013 is right there. I mean, pound for pound, just such a strong movie, man. The music and the sound design in Evil Dead 2013. Holy shit. The use of the siren whenever the Deadites, like whenever the dread really ratchets up, man, the use of that siren is incredible. The sound design for certain things, like, you know, of course, the tearing of flesh and the cutting of the arm, when the one girlfriend cuts her arm off. But then when she's a Deadite and she's shooting the nails into her head with a nail gun, like, oh my God, like just all that stuff. The sound design of Olivia sawing away at her cheek and her jawbone, really unsettling stuff. So yeah, I think Evil Dead 2013 really kind of kicked the, you know, raised the bar there for the 2010s, I think, in my opinion. It also sort of, you know, stretched out what the possibility was as far as like, where can we take gore? How much blood can we have? It pushed a lot of practicality with the effects as well, which it probably didn't have to. I mean, look at 2010's A Nightmare on Elm Street, full of CG, and a lot of it's really bad. And then you have a movie like Evil Dead's 2013's Evil Dead that really pushes the practical side of the gore. And man, I mean, really launched Fede Alvarez's career. You know, Don't Breathe is such a great movie. We can talk about that one as well, because I think that's a little bit of like a genre bending horror. I consider it a horror movie, but it's also got that heist kind of vibe going on, you know. But Don't Breathe is incredible. And then, you know, even though Romulus didn't really knock my socks off, I blame that more on just like, I don't know if the Alien franchise is really like, I just don't think there's much there. I think it's a shallow well. But yeah, it gave us, you know, Evil Dead 2013 gave us Fede Alvarez, and who knows what else, you know, we're going to see from him. So anyways, I blah about Evil Dead quite a bit there, but I wanted to give my thoughts on it before we moved on to another one. Let's see here. We don't really have to, Jamie. You can just kind of throw out, if it's in the 2010s, let's just focus on that decade, then we'll move to the 2020s after that. But any time in the 2010s, doesn't have to be chronologically in order or anything like that. Brett throws out You're Next. Yeah. Man, You're Next is really good. I know you're a huge fan of that one, Brett. And so what? You're Next is 2011. Hey, you can watch that on Peacock. Maybe we'll watch that on the Discord sometime soon. I really liked You're Next. I enjoy it more than it feels like. What's the movie with Margot Robbie? Is it Margot Robbie? The movie that Radio Silence did, Ready or Not. Ready or Not just to me is like, oh, they saw You're Next and then they wanted to like make their own movie that was like that. I loved You're Next. Had a really good time with that one. I need to watch it again, though. I've only seen it once. I do love that it's got a runtime of 1 hour and 35 minutes. That's great. That's really good stuff. And I like that it's sort of, yeah, it's like, it's this unassuming little story. And you don't even know until the shit hits the fan that our final girl is very, very well equipped for what she's doing. And this is a great example of something that could have made an episode of like Black Mirror or an episode of like Twilight Zone or something like that, but they're actually able to stretch it out to a feature length and have it still be really, really impressive, you know? Blu-ray's talking You're Next to, and Chad wants to make sure that Brett and Blue just calm down a little bit. We got Jared Arnold in the chat. What's happening, Jared? One of our great channel members. Hope you are doing well. Yeah, You're Next is really good. I got to watch that again. Would You Rather? Is that the one that's got the porn star Sasha Grey in it? I never saw that one. I never saw Would You Rather. I think that's the one, though. Jeffrey Combs is in that one as well. Maybe I need to add that one to the list. Yeah, Jamie's got it. The Crazies. I think that's another 2010. Another remake right there. So yeah, the 2010s they're still riding that remake wave. I love the original Crazies by George A. Romero. I mean, he's my favorite director. Great performance by Richard Liberty in that one. Just like really unsettling stuff. And a good social commentary. in the original Crazies. Now the remake is really, really good too. And it doesn't lean so much on the social commentary part. It plays it more like a traditional zombie film, whereas the original Crazies isn't so much of a zombie movie, really. It is it's more of a criticism of the government's response to emergencies and our response to paranoia. But yeah, the Crazies with Timothy Olyphant, really good stuff. I saw that in the theater. I enjoyed it quite a bit. You know, Legion is one of those like bunker movies that I thought was okay. I wanted more from Legion, but I know that you're a big fan of that one, Jamie, and I certainly don't think it's bad. I think maybe I just wanted the scope to be a little bit bigger. But it's definitely got that kind of, I kind of see when I think of that movie, I think of, you know, like The Mist or Night of the Living Dead, or even like 50s, 60s creature features, because it does have that relatively small cast. And, you know, for the most part, they're just pretty much in the diner for most of that movie. It's got that kind of old school feel. Insidious, that first Insidious movie creeped the hell out of me. And yeah, Let Me In's really good. I think I've seen the American remake, but I preferred the original. There's just something about it's tough to recapture that magic, even though the same director did the American version. I think, yeah, Let Me In is where it's at there for sure. Yeah, so as far as like thematically, you know, Let Me In. So yeah, 2010s. You know, we did see this wave of, you know, so 2000s and 2010s, I think we still continue to see that wave of like the J-horror remakes and just other foreign horror movies like Let Me In being remade over here. And then you've got that rise of, you know, with Saw coming out in the 2000s, but then moving into the 2010s, movies like Insidious, Sinister, you know, the Conjuring series started back in the 2010s as well, if I'm not mistaken. And so this rise of like the James Wan kind of horror movie, you know, it seems like he's got his own sort of brand, right? So I don't know if it's so like tropey or anything like that, but I know that there's that feel and that there's a thematic feel between those movies that all feel, you know, to me are very consistent. Like Insidious doesn't feel too far off from The Conjuring, or even Sinister. I know Sinister's kind of got a little bit of a different edge to it, but they all sort of have that similar kind of feel. You know, just a little more of a grounded, like real world kind of feel, slick, but not relying too much on the CG, you know, trying to do something gritty, even though there's like a budget there. So I think that that's the 2010s. Like when I think about horror from the 2010s, I think about that there's a grittiness to it, even though they don't look cheap. You know what I mean? The movies don't look cheap. They're doing well at the box office. They aren't costing an incredible amount of money, but they're very high production value and very cinematic and beautifully shot movies. That's what when I think of that, like kind of James Wan style, or just, you know, anybody else that he influenced, or the movies that he produced, even not even just the movies that he made himself. It's kind of what I think about there. You know, just kind of rolling with the theme of the evolution and the themes and tropes. Let's see what else we got here. King Matthew says, my next list of favorite horror films from the 2010s is The Purge, Scream 4, Curse of Chucky. Okay, so yeah, we do have some more sequels going on in the 2010s. Now, I never saw any of the Purge movies. They just never looked like my thing. So you guys are going to have to tell me about The Purge. What about it thematically do you think really fits the time or speaks to the 2010s of horror? Or how did it help horror evolve? You know, you guys let me know, whether you're in the live chat, maybe you're watching after the fact, jump on into the comments and let me know your thoughts. But yeah, Scream 4, my favorite sequel in the Scream franchise. And once again, Wes, a decade and a half after the original Scream, because I think Scream 4 was 2011, reinvents again the slasher subgenre by really driving up the gore in Scream 4. Scream 4 is easily the bloodiest. You know, maybe I don't know, did they outdo it? They tried to outdo it in 6, but then we find out that that's all fake blood right at the end, once we find out who the killers are. Like, I think the goriest kill in Scream 6 ends up being a fake. So yeah, Scream 4, man, really kind of reinvigorated the slasher subgenre again. Curse of Chucky, I think is pretty good. I don't think that's controversial to say. I think a lot of people really enjoy Curse, at least the people that enjoy the Chucky movies. I mean, that's my favorite one, probably since the third movie, I would say. Bride is okay. It's fine. Seed, not a big fan. Cult, didn't really do it for me. And I haven't seen the TV show or anything like that. But I do enjoy Curse of Chucky. That one was a pleasant surprise. Really dug that. Jared says Sinister 2 is not as bad as people make it out to be, but definitely a step down. Gotcha. I've just heard that it just kind of undercuts the scariness of Bagul. All right, Aaron Click says It Follows. Long panning shots that make you want to explore the entire screen out of sheer anxiety. Very Dean Cundy / John Carpenter. That's what I've heard about It Follows, guys. I still haven't seen it. I know Jamie's not the biggest fan. We got Brett chiming in there as well on It Follows. And we got Destiny Faulkner in the house. How are you doing, Des? One of our great Death Squad mods. Des, what are your favorite horror movies from the 2010s that you think kind of like put their own stamp on like what horror had to say in the 2010s? I'm very, very curious to know. And Jamie loves Sinister 2, so maybe I should give it a shot. Maybe I should. Jamie and I have pretty similar tastes for the most part. Yeah, I still need to see It Follows. I've heard really great things, not only the Dean Cundy, John Carpenter look of it all, but I've also heard the soundtrack is very similar. A lot of people, when that movie came out, I remember them comparing it to Halloween. So that's very interesting. And I guess that sort of falls in with some of the, again, the 2000s bleeding into the 2010s with the like kind of walking sim horror, very J horror inspired, right? Where like the STD is a spirit that follows you and kills you and lets you pass it along to somebody else. And we see that continue today. We'll talk about it when we get into the 2020s, but like Smile is very similar, walking sim horror. And that was very much a big part of the 2010s. With a little bit of, as Aaron says here, a little bit of throwback to the John Carpenter 70s and 80s days. Your Next needs a sequel. Does it though? It's so good by itself. It's so good. I mean, they're doing a Ready or Not sequel, so I guess we'll see how that goes. Stakeland. I've never heard of this one, Blue. What is Stakeland? See if anyone else is mentioning it here. King Matthew says Final Destination 5 is next on my list of favorite horror movies from the early 2010s. I quite enjoyed Final Destination 5. One of the better sequels for me. I think for me, it goes like the first movie, Bloodlines, the second movie, Bloodlines, the first movie, Final Destination 5. Final Destination 5. I swear, guys, I can talk. I swear I can talk. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, Don't Breathe. Really, really good. Very anxiety inducing and kind of claustrophobic a little bit, right? I mean, man. So the thing about Don't Breathe is you watch the trailer and you're like, all right, they're going to break into this blind guy's house, but he's like very well equipped and doesn't really need his sight to have the upper hand on them. And then, I'm not going to spoil anything, but then when you watch the movie, you're like, oh, fuck, there is a whole nother layer of grossness going on here that you just can't anticipate, which I think really pushes it into that horror realm. So, man, something about the way Fede Alvarez just really puts you there. I felt like in Don't Breathe that literally the audience is like holding their breath, that's what I was doing when I watched the movie. And man, Jane Levy, just what a performer. Like, we need her back in horror. I need her back in Evil Dead specifically. But I'll take all the Jane Levy you got. I think she's fantastic. She's really intense. And she's so cute in like a girl next door kind of way. She's got a really good look. So, yeah, we need more Jane Levy. Don't Breathe is really good. I got to watch that again. Strangers Pray at Night. That's a really fun one. What year was that one? Let me see if I can look that up really quick. Strangers Pray at Night. What year was that? Sorry, guys. I just need to wet my whistle. Other ones that, just in case we don't get to them, Hush, the Babadook. Let's see here. The Witch, Midsommar, Hereditary, Ouija, Origin of Evil. Mentioned the Innkeepers there as well. But let's see, what year was Strangers Pray at Night? I'm very curious. I really dig that one, Des. I know you're a big fan. That was 2018. Okay, so really not that long ago. I know not only are you a fan, Des, but you know, our guy Nick over at the Lost River Drive-In, very, very big fan. He went and did a video, you know, showcasing some of the you know, locations where Strangers Pray at Night was filmed. And then we had our guy, you know, Damien on the show. Damien Maffei was on the show about a year ago. And he was super gracious and awesome. And his performance there is really damn good. I want to see Damien in more horror movies as well. I really enjoyed him in Haunt. I thought Haunt was pretty fun for what it is, especially. Dr. Sleep Director's Cut. Is that 2010s? Is Dr. Sleep 2010s? Oh my gosh, it is 2019. Wow. I still need to see this movie, guys. I know. Kill me in the comments. Kill me in the chat. Whatever you got to do. But Strangers Pray at Night. Okay, sorry. I moved on way too quick. Yeah, this movie, the intensity, once they hit the ground running with the meat of the story, it gets real serious real quick. I didn't expect the movie to become that brutal so fast. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone that hasn't seen the movie, although it has been 7 years. So maybe it's okay, but when the mom gets it, I was very shocked. I was like, oh man, they just did that. They just did that like that. Like, no kind of getting away, and then she gets got later on. Like, nope. Like, you think that maybe she's gonna last a little bit longer. Nope. And the soundtrack is amazing. I mean, Total Eclipse of the Heart. It was so well placed. What's his face? Lewis Pullman, who I adored in Thunderbolts, is really good here. You can tell he's got it. It's like Jennifer Aniston in the first Leprechaun movie, and I'm not comparing Leprechaun to Strangers Pray at Night. It's just the performance. You can tell watching Lewis Pullman in Pray at Night, this kid's going to be a star. He's just got something next level going on. Yeah, Pray at Night's really good, and it very tension driving movie, or a tension building movie. Yeah, really, really good shit. But yeah, Dr. Sleep Director's Cut. I've heard this is the one to watch. I've heard this is like a horror version of like the X-Men or something like that. That's what I've heard about Dr. Sleep. So, and I've heard the director's cut is the better version for sure to watch. Yeah. Let's see here. What else do we got? Ooh, the Belko Experiment. I've heard of that movie. I don't think I've heard of Mayhem. I haven't seen either one of these. The Belko Experiment, is that one of these like mindfuck movies? Let me see. I'm gonna look it up. American action horror film by Greg McLean, written by James Gunn. All right, and produced by Peter Safran. Peter Safran's getting like the most play on the stream tonight, more play than I am. I tell you what. Wow, John C. McGinley is in this movie. Love him. Michael Rooker. Okay. Oh, this is like the Hunger Games, but within like a business, right? Where they all have to like, it's like a game of survival. Something crazy like that, right? Okay. We got Amanda in the house, one of our great channel members. What's happening, Amanda? So good to see you. Sorry, Des. I should have told you when you jumped in. My brain is just all over the place today. It's been a wild, wild day. Let's see what else we got. I'm going to push back on that one. No, I'm just joking. You can have it. But what about it 2017, Chester? What about it for you? Because I want this to be an open discussion for all of us, because we're talking about the evolution of horror and the tropes and the themes and everything like that. So what about it chapters 1 and 2, or if you want to pick one of the movies specifically, what about it kind of shaped the landscape of horror in the 2010s? Or what about it, thematically fit along with the other films that were coming out around that time? Because honestly, when I think of It 2017, I think of a lot of not great CG, a lot of jump scare moments. It is boring as fuck to me, guys. I'm sorry. It just does nothing for me, the franchise. I mean, the TV movie, the Tommy Lee Wallace directed TV movie with Tim Curry, works better for me than It Part 1 and Part 2, for sure. Just really long movies and really boring and very reliant on jump scares and creepy, like, distorted faces through CG. I'm just like, I'm so bleh. Like, it just doesn't seem very creative to me. And I know that they filled in a lot of gaps and they made up stuff that wasn't even in the book. So it's like the book is like 800 pages or whatever it is, and it's like, and you got to make stuff up. I don't know. I'm just gonna be weird about it. That's and I'm probably I'm gonna sound like a bigger jerk about the It movies the more that I talk about them. Let's see here. Creep. That's another franchise I still need to watch. You guys know how I feel about found footage. I have a really tough time. Des, maybe you don't know. I have such a tough time with found footage. Everyone loves like Hell House and all that stuff. And like, I watched the first movie and didn't feel any need to watch any of the other movies. I don't know what it is. Like, I like Cloverfield. I like Diary of the Dead. I like when movies work found footage elements like into the movie. If it's like the way that Shelby Oaks is looking so far from the trailer, that it's like a standard narrative, but they're working in found footage elements. I kind of like that. That's a bit more immersive for me, honestly. I think sometimes with found footage, they just end up looking cheap. The acting seems like, yeah, they just kept that take because it felt real, even though it's like maybe it wasn't the best take. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I do like the Duplass brothers. I think it's Mark Duplass is the star of the movies, if I'm correct. And I really liked him as I think he plays Pete on The League, which I'm a huge football fan, so I had a fun time watching The League, at least for the first handful of seasons. But maybe I need to watch Creep because I do like him, and I think his brother directed the film. So yeah, maybe I need to check those out there. The Invitation, I don't think I've seen that one. Autopsy of Jane Doe. And yeah, guys, let me know if you drop a movie, let me know a little bit about, like, because obviously I haven't seen all these movies, but just I'm curious to know what about the movies, make them stand out for you, or kind of like help define that era, that decade of horror. I guess that's kind of, what we're doing there. Get Out. I don't not seen Get Out. Yeah. Man, there's a lot of these I haven't seen. Green Room. Haven't seen this one either. This is just embarrassing for me, all these movies I haven't seen. What movie did you call a scorching hot take, man, earlier? I don't know. Welcome on in, Prince, by the way. I don't know. I don't know if I've said that on this stream, but maybe I have. Train to Busan. Good shit. Yeah, what I really like about Train to Busan is it respects and uses the Romero lore and the rules of Romero as its foundation. And then it kind of builds on some of that as well. So yeah, the zombies run and stuff like that. And Romero never had running zombies, but I just mean like the way the characters interact, like there's conflict between our human characters. But they also like they gain a greater understanding of each other as the film goes on. They learn some lessons and they they work together a little bit better as they go. And I really liked the idea of, it was like using the darkness, like to, like the zombies couldn't really see in the dark. I really dug that. And man, the ending is truly a heartbreaker. And I know that I think James Wan has been working on, like, what is it? I think they're calling it like Train to New York or something like that. And I don't think it's a straight up remake. I think it's supposed to take place around the same event, so it's supposed to happen in the same world. I would imagine there's going to be some similar elements, but that's something that's been in, like, I don't know where in the production line that movie is, but man, it's been stuck for a while for sure. Your next watch party? All right, Brett. All right, Brett. Yeah, if we reach that super chat goal, guys, if we get, because I see, holy shit, we got Pumpkin King in the house. I gotta scroll so far to find that. I'm so behind on the chat. Jigsaw drops a $2, says 30 Days of Night, Dark Days, aka Part 2, was 2010. All right. And that's one, I've seen the original 30 Days of Night, Jigsaw. I did not check out the sequel. Was that a direct-to-video? Did that go to the theaters? I don't remember. Like, I remember that movie existing. I guess I don't really remember it, like, being a thing. So I could be totally wrong. It feels like that's one that was, like, direct-to-video or direct-to-streaming or something like that. But I think the first 30 Days of Night, I think it's an interesting premise. You know, as somebody that grew up in Alaska, most people that I've met in the last, like, almost 20 years, when they meet me, they're like, oh, is it just like that movie 30 Days of Night? And then I have to break the news to them that, like, well, Alaska is like 1,500 miles top to bottom. So maybe more. If you put Alaska on top of the continental United States, Alaska would go into Canada, and southeast, like the tippy top, the North Pole would go like into Canada. Southeast Alaska would be in Florida, and the Aleutian chain would reach all the way across to California. So Alaska is massive. If you cut Alaska in half, Texas would be the third largest state. That's how not big Texas is, guys. And they tell you Texas is really big. So yeah, so I grew up in Southeast Alaska. So there's light issues in Southeast Alaska in the dead of winter. Nothing like 30 Days of Night. It's not that bad. You get the sun every day. You get the sun every day in Southeast Alaska. And Pumpkin King drops in with a $49.99 super chat. Says, bro, the shirt, mug, and glasses look great. That is awesome news, Pumpkin King. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your support over on the shop, as well as your support over here on the channel. You are amazing. Pumpkin King, I'd love to see pictures. I know you've got my email. If you could shoot me a couple pictures just of what the items look like. I like seeing them in person, and then if you're okay with me sharing them here, because it's nice to see them, you know, a real picture of them rather than the mock-ups they have on the shop, just to be able to show the other people that hang out here on the channel what the quality looks like. If you're able to, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for the $49.99. You are absolutely incredible. I hope you can wear that shirt on Casual Friday and have people be like, Pumpkin King? And you're like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. And you bring in your coffee mug? Hell yeah. All right. So I know I missed a whole bunch. Guys, we could talk about this forever. I think I gotta shift it over to the 2020s, because I know that we could talk about any decade of horror forever. So I know Decades of Dread has been really fun. We've tried to cover multiple decades in each one of these episodes. Maybe we got to dissect them even more. It seems like you guys really, really dig this. So I have to find a creative way. Maybe I should do a thing. Let me know what you guys think of this in the chat, where I break down the decades and I watch movies from that decade that I haven't seen yet, and we come back and discuss, because there's so many movies, especially in the 2010s here tonight, where I've been like, haven't seen it. Do you guys, would it be fun for you guys to do like a return to the 2010s? And I'm like, all right, I've watched The Purge, I've watched The Belko Experiment, I've watched, you know, It Follows, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, maybe catch up on some of these. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. And absolutely love to all the mods. Thank you so much, Paula Fitzhenry. Of course. Yes. Love to all the mods. And guys, thank you so much. All the Patreon members, all the YouTube channel members. You guys are so damn awesome. And everyone that's dropping a super chat, just before I lose everyone here, Brett dropped a $1.99. The Oct dropped a $1.99. Jigsaw dropped a $2. We got our guy, the Pumpkin King, dropping $49.99. And Jigsaw drops another super chat. This time is a $5. Says Hatchet 2, My Soul to Take, Paranormal 2, Saw 7, obviously. Now, I haven't seen any of those movies. I gotta check out the Hatchet movies because it seems like they'd be really fun. Guys, right now I'm watching a lot of movies for the very first time lately, but I've been diving into the 80s. So like this spooky season already, I've watched Dolls, Stage Fright, what is it? Hell Night with Linda Blair? Is that what that movie is called? It's not Motel Hell. Hell Night? Just watched The Fun House, the Tobe Hooper film, the other night for the very first time. So I'm trying to catch up on some of the older movies I haven't seen. Paranormal Activity, I'm not the biggest found footage guy. Maybe I do need to check those out. And I've seen the first 3 Saw movies and kind of fell off with those. So I know I got to finish that franchise out just so I can talk about it. I feel bad, Jigsaw. You drop a 5 and all I have to say is, ooh, I'm going to need you guys to tell me about these movies and what makes, I guess with Saw 7, when you say obviously, Saw had a big impact on 2000s horror and, of course, moving into the 2010s, right? The whole, even though Saw is more than just torture porn, I think it kind of invigorated or kicked off that, that whole trend. I do think that Saw offers more than that. There's the twisty kind of elements, there's an intertwining story throughout each movie in the franchise, and there's a little bit of like a gritty cop drama going on with Saw. But I do think the imitators, or the movies that sort of took elements from Saw, sort of just veered kind of into that torture porny kind of area there. Really quick, guys, I'm going to check on let's see what's going on here with the poll. 27 votes. Which platform delivers the best horror content? Let's close that one out. And guys, we're 2/5 of the way there on the super chat goal. Again, super chats, they're just bonus. No requirement at all that you gotta, throw those down. If you're able to, that's amazing. If we want to do a public watch party on the Discord of the movie Pumpkinhead from 1988, one of my favorite spooky season movies, I'm going to watch it no matter what. But if you want to watch it with me and with everyone else on the Discord server, then just 3 more super chats of $5 or more, and we'll get that cooking for you this weekend. So you don't have to do it, but if you want to, it's there. Okay, let's take a look at this poll. 27 votes. Which platform delivers the best horror content? Shudder gets 59% of those votes. Theatrical releases get 29%. Man, I thought theatrical would get the nod here. Netflix just 11%, and Hulu 0%. Wow. Okay, because Hulu does which movies? Hulu's done like Totally Killer, right? That was Hulu. What's the Justin Long one? It's a Wonderful Knife. That was a Hulu movie. There's got to be some others because I know Hulu's like they've dipped their toe in those in that realm a little bit. But yeah, there we go. Okay, let's move on over to here we go. I got one more poll, and this poll is going to usher us into the 2020s, guys. I know we got a lot to talk about with the 2010s, but let's talk about modern horror, just the last handful of years. And maybe this will be a little bit easier. We're closer to these movies. There's not as many. We're just over halfway through the decade, so maybe it'll be a little bit easier, not looking at an entire 10 years of films. But I'm curious to know, since 2020, which horror films really stand out to you as the movies that have set the standard, set the tropes, are thematically similar to one another, or seem to be pushing a feel that we'll look back at one point and be like, oh, that's got that 2020s feel. I know we're really close. Maybe it's kind of tough to have that conversation, but the elevated thing continues to roll. You know, A24 and Neon are doing their thing, and they're doing it's a little bit different. You know, we got filmmakers like the Filippo brothers, or you know, Osgood Perkins, Ari Aster. I mean, Eggers is still doing his thing. So I'm curious to know, I've just picked 4 movies here. Which film best represents 2020's horror so far? And we've got Terrifier 3, When Evil Lurks, Heretic, and Talk to Me listed there. Now I know I can only list 4, guys, so I'm not going to get everyone's favorites in there, and I just try to be fair and pick some movies that are a little bit different. But let's start talking about 2020's horror. Let me get this brought up here. 2020's so far, and let's see what we got from you guys. Yeah, that's a really good one, Brett. I really dig Haunt. Yeah, I'll have to rewatch that this year. Holy crap, we got Sergeant Shitty Pickle. Here's Shitty jumping on in. What's happening, Shitty? The Maniac remake from, what was that, 2012 or something like that? That was, yeah, man, the remakes in the 2010s. That was a big remake decade for sure. Yes, Lewis Pullman for president. Absolutely. Ooh, I need to see American Mary. I have not seen that one, Shitty or Prince. Yeah, really, really good. Pullman's amazing. I mean, did you see Thunderbolts, Des? I know it's not horror, but you know, I don't know. Maybe you watch those kinds of movies too. Let's see. Yeah, very, very proud of him for sure. Let's see what else we got going here. I'm gonna kind of jump ahead. Oh, Jamie, I love it. Davies being a hater. I don't know what it is. Like, certain things just resonate and certain things don't. I'm not a hater. It doesn't work for me. Clearly I'm in the minority. People love those movies. So yeah. I can't hate on you. I know you're just fucking with me. All right. Yeah, Hush, man. Hush is a Flanagan. Flanagan's really, you know, we didn't really talk about him when we were talking 2010s, but it's not just movies like Hush. It's the, you know, talk about the streaming stuff. I think he's got, like, I think most people probably think of him, you know, when it comes to streaming. I'm surprised that Netflix didn't get more of the votes, because I know that, you know, 3 or 4 of his series have been over there on Netflix and they've done really, really well. I need to catch up on his miniseries. I'm not the biggest TV guy, but limited TV series I can get behind, because they're basically like, it's basically like getting 2 or 3 movies. So I can totally get behind that for sure. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead, guys. Let's see what we got here. Davey, you'd like Green Room. I know. I don't know why I haven't seen it. I think it was when Anton Yelchin passed away. It it was just so jarring and so shocking. And I think that happened not long after Green Room came out. And I don't know what it was. I just sort of avoided it, and maybe I just wasn't ready. And then I just haven't I haven't come across it when searching on platforms or anything like that. But I do have it pulled up because I pulled up those movies from the 2010s, so I can see if it's available on one of the platforms that I've got. But yeah, I mean, what is it? Ben Kingsley is in there too. Good shit. We got Mike Baum in the chat. What's happening, Mike? Hope you are doing well. Let's see what else we got. Studio 666 with the Foo Fighters. I never checked that one out, guys. Is that one pretty fun? Because it looked like a wild, like, kind of Evil Dead-ish kind of thing, you know, like dark comedy horror. Curious to know. Boom goes the pumpkin. Oh yeah. Okay, let me jump ahead here. We got Pat, that Halloween movie collector. What's happening, Pat? So good to see ya. We are talking Decades of Dread. This is the part 3 entry, Pat. I know I'm minutes behind here. But yeah, we're talking, this is the 3rd part of this series that we've been running on Late Night with the Davey. And really, we're just talking about the evolution of horror and the themes, like the thematic elements as we go decade to decade. So 2 weeks ago, we were talking 60s, 70s, and 80s. Then we moved into the 90s and 2000s. We just got done speaking about the 2010s, and we're talking about the 2020s. So let me know what you guys got. I'm going to skip ahead here so we can get right to it. Brett drops the menu and Last Night in Soho. And I can't, whatever I'm trying to get you guys to tell me about these movies, like what is it about these movies? Tell me, Brett, what you got? Let go of what you got now. I haven't seen The Menu or Last Night in Soho. I know, I'm terrible. I do really like Anya Taylor-Joy though. She's got a very unique look. She looks like a praying mantis, and I mean that in the best way possible because I do think she's very beautiful. But she's got just an unconventional look, you know? She's got these interesting eyes. I hope she's not like a praying mantis. Here's hoping. Yeah, she's pretty all right. Let's see here. 25, Prince. 25. Oh, come on. I think you are you're being too nice, Prince. I'll take 35. I'll believe that. We got Eli Cortez, one of our great channel members, and Death Squad mods in the house. What's happening, Eli? So good to see ya. Ooh, Scream 5. I liked it better than Scream 6 ultimately because Scream 6's third act is pretty rough. The Scream 5 and 6 I'm pretty lukewarm on, but I guess, guys, that does sort of fit the 2020s. This, like, we're going back to the reboots, legacy sequels. You know, I know that Halloween 2018, obviously it was 2018, but the sequels, you know, Kills and Ends were part of that legacy sequel, you know, wave there, and those were 2020s. And then Scream 5, we got that as a result. And we're getting more of those types of movies. I feel, you know, I've said this so much. I don't expect everyone to remember everything I've ever said, but when it comes to radio silence, you know, who made Ready or Not, Abigail, Scream 5, Scream 6, there's just something where they get close to the mark. They just can't really ever seem to hit it in the bullseye for my tastes. I think some of that's the humor. It doesn't land with me in an odd way. I know there are people that feel the same way about the David Gordon Green Halloween movies where the humor doesn't really work for them, whereas for me it does. So some of these things are just taste things. It's not like anyone's right or wrong. It's just kind of like, you know, sometimes with art it really is what you feel. You can still have your thoughts, and you can still have, you know, you can still break things down the way you would break down like literature of any kind, because I think of film as an extension of literature. But then also some of it is feel. And for whatever reason, Scream 5 and 6 just don't quite feel like Scream to me. Like they're close. They're like the Temu version of Scream, if that makes any sense. Mike Baum says, I really enjoyed The Monkey. Yeah, the Osgood Perkins film from earlier this year. And so what does that say about... I'm curious to know, like, what kind of path are we on for 2020's horror? What's the theme? What are the themes that we're getting? I think one of the themes, and maybe The Monkey doesn't quite fit this one because it's an adaptation, although I do think it's a pretty, I mean, the first third of the movie was like cracking me up. The final act was sort of shaky for me, but overall I enjoyed The Monkey. It didn't blow me away or anything like that, but I had a good time watching it. But we are seeing like that kind of like auteur horror continue on, you know? Peele is still making movies in the 2020s. He's also producing movies. People like Osgood Perkins doing his thing in a really, really big way. I mean, I like not only just The Monkey, but I thought Longlegs was amazing. And I know, you know, Oz was making movies before the 2020s, but just talking about this decade, you know, Keeper's looking really interesting to me. And then he's already in pre-production for his next film. So this is a guy that's just like not really stopping. And particularly when it comes to movies like Heretic, Strange Darling, Late Night with the Devil, Longlegs, you know, these movies that are like just visually stunning and have got a different kind of feel, like wholly a different kind of feel. I think even let's put When Evil Lurks in there as well, guys, because the camera movement and the blocking in When Evil Lurks is one of the best parts of the movie, in my opinion. One of the reasons why some of those moments are sold so well to me. There's a shot earlier on in the film. I've only seen When Evil Lurks once, and it's like ingrained in my mind. It's like burned and etched in. There's a shot early in the film when the two brothers are walking through the woods, and they both see something in the woods, but you don't see what it is that they see. And then the camera, as one character walks to the right, the camera moves to the left, but also like circles around, and you see what they're looking at. It's like a body, like this mangled body in the woods. Just really interesting blocking that way. And then there's another moment later on in the film where I believe that he's like driving down the road, and the mother starts running down the road with like the mangled child, you know, dead child in her arms or whatever. And that's another shot where the camera moves to reveal, you know, what the character sees, but what we don't see. It's the little things. It's the little things for me. And then Long Legs, I've praised it enough here on the channel for how beautiful it looks. But I think we're kind of in that era of horror where it's like, these are really stunning. The films are stunning in their looks. Sinners, to me, has got this like Tarantino look and feel. You know, beautiful camera movement, amazing set design and costume design and immersion into a world. And being able to, you know, I mean, it was something like Sinners specifically, with that movie specifically, they're trying to showcase a culture from within like a time capsule, you know, almost going 100 years in the future to show us in 2025 what it was like in Mississippi in 1932 for different groups and different cultures. And if you pay attention to the credits, they even they hired cultural consultants, which I think is great. They're not just going off like, oh, I'm this skin color, so I know exactly what it was like in 1932 for these people. Like, they're actually hiring people that are like, no, this is what it was most likely like. And I love that attention to detail. Again, it just helps sell the immersion. So I think that's one of those things that we're like really diving into here in the 2020s. Heretic, another beautiful looking film that has so many really great questions to ask. And to me, a movie that didn't really seem to like take a side on spirituality or religion or anything like that. A movie that I thought, you know, our villain makes just as many good points as the heroes of the film or the protagonists, and where he ends up trying to sell his own religion. He's maybe the most religious person in that whole movie. Ultimately, once you're finished with Heretic, you're like, oh my god, he's a friggin' fraud, because he's trying to convince them that they're wrong. And who's the missionary? Who's being the missionary to who right now? You know, it's just very, very interesting. So yeah, I'm curious to know. I know I went on a diatribe there, but you guys let me know your thoughts on all of that here. And let me check on the poll really quick before I dive back into the chat here. So which film best represents 2020's horror so far? Talk to me, getting 54% of 13 votes. When Evil Lurks and Terrifier 3 tied at 23% each. Heretic, 0%. Well, there you go. There you go. The Substance is a really good one. Yeah, a one-time watch for me. I don't know if I'll ever watch The Substance again, but not because it's bad. It ran a little long for me. Like Nosferatu. I'll probably never watch Nosferatu ever again. You know, this, like, I've seen the Dracula story so many times. I don't ever need to watch Nosferatu again. And The Substance did have kind of a Jekyll and Hyde, sort of a classic kind of, you know, vibe going on. I do like the way they modernized it. And I thought the performances were great, and the color palette of the film. The film is just beautiful. Yeah. Let's see here. Thank you so much for the reminder, Eli. Yeah, guys, make sure to slash that like button, sub to this amazing channel, and consider becoming a member of the Mighty Death Squad for some awesome perks. Studio 666 is pretty funny. All right. I will have to check it out. Here we go. I can talk about these movies. Pearl, X, and Maxine. I really dig these three movies. Yeah. Really good stuff from, why am I forgetting his name right now? I've been talking too much, guys. I've just been talking way too much. Ty West. It took me a second. I was like, I know he's got a very short first name. There we go. Ty West. So I just watched these movies just a few months ago. For the very first time. Love this trilogy. If I had to rank them, it's I would put Pearl first, Maxine second, and X third. But I do think that no matter what, you should watch them in order of release, because that's what makes the story make the most sense. I had a hell of a fun time with Maxine, and I know a lot of people, they were kind of disappointed. I don't know, Maxine like fully delivered for me. And you know, I love the like American giallo kind of thing mixed with that like cult kind of vibe going on as well. Kevin Bacon's great. Like, I'll take all that you got. And I just love that 80s aesthetic. Like, I grew up in the 80s, so it's nice to, you know, feel like you're going back. Yeah. But they're all really good films. Pearl is absolutely gorgeous. Talk about immersion. Beautiful color palette. That's like Strange Darling. Some of the most beautiful color I've seen. Because, you know, they color time things different for each movie. Some movies desaturate, some movies oversaturate. You know, I think Pearl and Strange Darling, they really dial those up. You know, the colors are just so vibrant. Brett says, gotta go recent with Sinners, Weapons, and Final Destination Bloodlines. All right. Yeah, we are getting the Weapons kind of vibe. You know, there is that sort of like, it's sort of like mainstream, but weird still. You know, like Together, I really like Together quite a bit. We've gotten a lot of really good horror this year, guys. Like, even though Bring Her Back like didn't really hit me the way that Talk to Me hit me, it's still a very well-made movie. I could not, if somebody says that's better or just as good as Talk to Me, like, I ain't gonna fight you on it. I even had a really fun time with Dangerous Animals. Had a blast with that one. Toxic Avenger was just really, really fun. Yeah. It's been a good year so far. You need to go into the menu blind, Davey. The less you know, the better. Same with Last Night in Soho. Great twist in that one. Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about him really. You know, as far as I know, I just remember seeing maybe little teasers and stuff like that. And I know, you know, that Anya Taylor-Joy's in both of those movies. Yeah. The Menu is just one of the better dark comedy horror movies, and a horror movie that goes somewhere new for me. So maybe that's one of the things we're seeing here in the 2020s, guys. That's, Brett brings up a good one there, the dark comedy. Yeah, because so The Monkey is very dark comedy, right? Final Destination Bloodlines has got some really hilarious moments, and the kills are sort of like, yeah, I mean, you feel bad for these characters, but you're also sort of like laughing and like, you know, gasping in hilarity at some of them. And then even, I thought Dangerous Animals had some dark humor with Tucker. And, I mean, Weapons was like oddly, darkly comedic, especially in the last 10 minutes. Toxic Avenger, of course, that was just like flat out hilarious. So not really that dark comedy, just more of like, you know, campy comedy. But we've gotten a lot of the dark comedy here in recent years. That might be one of the big themes here in the 2020s. I even think Terrifier 3. Like the Terrifier movies, there's elements that are darkly comedic, I would say, for sure. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead here in the chat. Strange Darling, it was great how it incorporated Tarantino-style storytelling into horror. Yeah, chopping up the storytelling, the chapters out of order. For me, Strange Darling, right after I finished it, I was like, I got to watch this one again. I have to watch. Now that I know what's what, I have to watch it again. Loved that movie so damn much. Let's see what else we got. The one that needs the most love from 2020s that gets overlooked, announces Brett from the rooftops. The Invisible Man 2020, the movie before the global bastard happened. I've still not seen that one. That's the Lee Winnell Invisible Man, correct? I still haven't seen that one. I've watched so many videos on that movie, so I know even like the deeper theories that people have about that movie, but I've never seen it. Not once. I really hope mainstream horror moving forward doesn't go the direction of build hype and then disappoint. Well, that's partly, you know, we can take some of the blame for that, Dean. Just I mean, I'm not saying that you and I specifically, but I just like collectively the fandom, what we see a lot on social media, whether it's YouTube or even if it's just someone's Twitter account, is this movie's either the best movie ever, it's the best movie this year, it's the best movie of the decade, or it's like total shit. And people just seem to like get, you know, religiously attached to these movies. So sometimes it's tough, right? There are people that watch Sinners like months after it came out and they're like, oh, I don't understand the hype. And it's like, dude, you listen to the hype for months and then you watch the movie. Like, what do you expect? Of course you're going to be disappointed. Of course it's not going to live up to your expectations, right? Like, you're the one that listened to the hype for months when you could have just seen the movie the first couple weeks it came out and you would have been like caught in the wave. And maybe you still would have felt the same, but you wouldn't have like been like, oh, I'm so let down. So, you know, part of that is like our own doing, I think, to a certain degree. Yeah, I mean, I was really pumped for Weapons and it didn't really hit the mark for me. And maybe I just shouldn't have had the expectations where they were, you know? Yeah. Long Legs really cemented the strength and popularity of elevated horror. I think so. It's beautiful. I mean, it's, you know, looks like Kubrick meets Wes Anderson, who's basically doing a Kubrick thing anyway. Not as much like Silence of the Lambs as a lot of people say. Long Legs, I think that might be the most shallow comparison you could make with Long Legs. Like, oh, there's a girl that's an FBI agent, so it's just like Silence of the Lambs. Okay. So what, like any movie that's about a cop trying to catch a serial killer is now just Silence of the Lambs? Dumb. Lame take. I like, to me, Long Legs is the people that don't get it. I don't know what to tell you. I can't give you my eyes and I can't give you my thoughts. But when I watched that movie, I was totally sucked in. I love the performances. I love the camera placement and the movement. I really like the story. I like the way that they unveiled everything, the way they revealed things, and the questions that weren't answered in the movie. It just, for whatever reason, it was just a really, really good recipe for me as an audience member. Like, that's Long Legs is like the kind of, like, when I'm in the mood for something like that, or when I want something that's a little more artsy fartsy, Long Legs certainly does it for me. Holy cow. King Matthew III with the hottest of hot takes says, this is a bold pick, but my next favorite horror film of the 2020s is I Know What You Did Last Summer. 2025, I actually liked the killer reveal and I enjoyed the chase scenes. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Tyreek Withers in I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025, but man, the reveal, I felt like I just kind of saw it coming from a mile away. Once the blogger, the bloody disgusting person or whatever, gets killed, I knew at least who one of the killers was. You know, at that point, I'm like, well, this is either the only killer or one of the killers. And I just think they really didn't stick the landing on the reveal. It poorly written, I guess, is what I would say. And then, yeah, the chase scenes, like, they had potential. Felt like they were like so short. And the movie just didn't really deliver on the gore. I think they could have done a little bit more on the gore for sure. Yeah, kills and ends. Let's talk about these. So a part of that legacy sequel wave that we're seeing here. You guys know how I feel about the David Gordon Green Halloween movies, right? They're all in my top 5 of the franchise. So even with their issues and their problems, Kills took me longer to warm up to, but I really dig all the good in Kills. I like quite a damn bit. And I'm a huge Ends fan. I mean, Ends is my favorite sequel in the franchise. So, hot take there. I know. Do you think, are we going to get more? Because how many more what other legacy sequels have we had in the 2020s that are horror? Final Destination Bloodlines. That's one. Do we have any others lined up right now? I guess Evil Dead kind of coming back after a big break, with Evil Dead Rise. That's sort of like a legacy sequel in a sense, because it came out 10 years after Evil Dead 2013. I'm trying to think, are there any other horror legacy sequels or any that are on the horizon? I don't know. Let me know, guys. Jump on in to the comments, because that might be sort of a little bit of a theme that we see here as the rest of the decade develops. And I know I've got a couple super chats. I'm going to scroll on down and jump to those. Thank you for sharing Dell's channel, Eli. I appreciate you. We all know the best movie of the 2020s is Skinamarink. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. And Brett chimes in with Eli, corner, 15 minutes now. I've not seen Skinamarink. Evan from Rockland Graves says he really enjoyed it. He did a really, thoughtful video essay on that one. I guess I got to see it for myself because I don't know what to think after all the varying opinions and wild shit I've heard about it. So I got to see it for myself. Jigsaw drops a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. And says Blood Red Sky, Fear Street Trilogy, Halloween Kills. Oh yeah. Wrong Turn, Megan, Beetlejuice 2. Beetlejuice, there you go. Beetlejuice. That was another legacy sequel. And Megan, I recently saw Megan because right before the sequel came out, right before 2.0 came out, I watched Megan for the very first time. And I dug it for what it was. Like, I thought it was pretty interesting for sure. I liked it a lot better than the sequel. The sequel was kind of weird to me. Like, not bad, but what was that? Fear Street. Haven't seen any of the Fear Streets. Are those worth it? Let me know in the chat, guys. Blood Red Sky. I haven't even heard of that one. And then The Wrong Turn. So you're talking about the Mike P. Nelson Wrong Turn. I haven't heard the best things about that movie, but I've not yet seen that one either, Jigsaw. And Beetlejuice was like, it just seemed so samey to me. I know they added new characters and stuff like that, but I'm like, this is basically just like a remake, like now Beetlejuice wants to marry the daughter instead of marrying Gina Davis, and they do the whole song number again with MacArthur Park and everything like that, and I'm just like, this is basically just a remake. Like, they're not even really trying to make it that much of a sequel, other in the few little corners where they have to do a little something. It just felt very samey. What's her face was totally wasted there. Monica Bellucci, totally wasted. Her character had like no bearing on anything really. Like, she went around killing a bunch of random people. There's like no suspense there. And then everything was wrapped up so quickly. I was like, what the hell was that? I wanted to like Beetlejuice a lot more than I did. However, I will say this. Michael Keaton was amazing in that movie. I mean, there's nothing wrong with his performance. He was spot on. Willem Dafoe, I really like him as a performer. He was kind of useless too. Like, there's just certain characters. Some characters had no effect on the plot, essentially, in Beetlejuice. I don't know what the hell. If you mean best by giving me the worst headache ever, then yes, it wins. Never again. Talking Skinamarink. Jigsaw drops another $5. Says Saw X and No One Will Save You. I've heard great things about Saw X. No One Will Save You. Is that the one that's got the girl from she's in The Last of Us now? She was in that show with Tim Allen. No One Will Save You. Is that the one? I think so. Yeah. Caitlin Dever. She's a really good actress, man. And you know what? I say that as somebody that's only seen her in Last Man Standing, but she's like, I'm not even the biggest sitcom guy. She's so good in that show. Like, she is easily the star, or like of all the kids and everything, the younger performers they have there. She is a scene stealer for sure. Yeah, I got to check out No One Will Save You. What is that on? It's got to be streaming somewhere, right? I think I remember seeing it streaming somewhere Hulu. So there you go. Hulu is putting out some good streaming stuff, guys. And y'all hate it. 0% on the last poll. Come on, guys. Still have to watch the new I Know What You Did Last Summer. Have fun, Blu-ray. Cody Snyder hanging out all the way from Hong Kong. What's happening, Cody? So great to see you. Giving us a nice hello in Chinese. Cody, it looks like you're having such a great time out there, man. I'm not going to say I'm jealous, because that just seems sort of making it about me and being kind of mean about it. But it looks like you're having such an awesome time, dude. It's great to see you be able to relax, enjoy some leisure, and enjoy, another country's great culture. So thank you so much for dropping in with the $5. Cody is one of our YouTube channel members. He's also a Death Squad mod and one hell of a model American. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you. And is that it? Did we reach our goal? Boom. There it is. 5 out of 5, guys. We reached our goal. So we are going to watch Pumpkinhead on the Discord server this weekend. So I will put that together. I'll share the link so you guys can join us. If you're not already joined on the Discord server, it is free. All you need to do is make a login for Discord. Follow the link that's in the description. Heck, here's what I'll do. I'll even drop the link in the chat so you guys can just I'll drop it in the chat and I'll pin it. Drop it and pin it. Drop it and pin it. There we go. There is the at. And let me pin that. So yeah, the link to the Discord is pinned in the chat. There we go. And yeah, it's free. And the cool thing about it, guys, when we do the public watch party, we're going to watch Pumpkinhead. It's going to be right there on the screen. You don't have to, you know, match up your own stream or anything like that. We even mute the mics. I don't even show myself, so no one has to be on camera. We jump into the chat and we have a really damn good time. It's been so much fun every time we've jumped in there and watched a movie. So thank you guys so much to everyone that contributed to the super chat goal. And Jigsaw is dropping another $2. Let me grab that one really quick. Says Blood Red Sky is a Netflix horror movie. All right. I got to check it out, man. I got to check it out. There's so many movies to watch. I feel like I let you down. I feel like I let you guys down so hardcore. Guys, don't sleep on Die Alone. More people need to see it. I've never even heard of that one. Cody Snyder says, Winona Ryder stood out the most to me. I really enjoyed Beetlejuice. I thought she was pretty all right. I was a little disappointed in Catherine O'Hara because I love her so much as a performer. I wasn't really feeling the performance so much. Justin Theroux was pretty funny for what he did there. He was like over the top just enough for me. But the movie, maybe I need to watch it again. I only saw it once, Cody. So I'll apply the Halloween Ends logic and say that maybe I need to watch it again to truly appreciate it. Fear Street trilogy is really good. What's Jamie saying here? Oh yeah, I like the first 3 Fear Street movies. They make for good spooky season watches. Okay. Maybe I need to add those to the repertoire this evening or this spooky season. Brett is heading out. Thank you so much for kicking it with us, Brett. Really appreciate you. Really appreciate the super chat, your membership, and of course your awesome work as a Death Squad mod. Last day of work tomorrow before my vacation brain is turned on. Have a great night. And Davey, watch Dr. Sleep and The Invisible Man. All right, there it is. Really quick, just to show some love to the folks that did drop the super chats because we reached our goal. So we had the $1.99 from Brett, $1.99 from the Oct, a $2 from Jigsaw, the $49.99 from Pumpkin King, a $5 from Jigsaw, another $5 from Jigsaw, another $5 from Jigsaw, and a $5 from Cody Snyder. And then a $2 from Jigsaw right after all of that. Thank you guys so much for the support on the channel. You guys are absolutely amazing. Not only jumping in and hanging out with us on the lives, but, supporting us through membership, subscribership, sharing the channel, liking the streams, and of course, dropping your hard-earned money. Really do appreciate you. I hope you plan on doing some watch parties over here so those of us who aren't on Discord will get to participate in something. Yeah, I will do there. Yeah, for sure. They're a little tougher, or maybe not tougher. I think with the watch parties over here, Jamie, I really like getting a guest on. Then that way it's not just me having to comment on the movie. So in the spirit of that, if you want to hop on and watch a movie with me this spooky season, let me know and we can get that going. Guys, if you're a channel member and you want to appear on the channel for whatever, maybe there's a topic you want to discuss that you've been thinking about. Maybe there's a movie that's come out this year that you've got something to say. Cody, when you're back on over here stateside, man, we got to get you on for a watch party. So yeah, I think what we'll do, Jamie, is when we do watch parties over here, we will have guests on for that. Because I had a really fun time with Vin watching A New Beginning, Friday the 13th, Part 5. That was in March. We had my buddy Brian McPherson on to watch the original Dawn of the Dead. That was really cool too. So I love having a guest on. It's just kind of nice to be able to bounce off somebody else during those watch parties where you can't have the movie on the screen, for sure. Don't you worry, guys. We'll get some watch parties going on over here. Maybe we can do one. I don't know. We can work something out early next week, something like that. I don't want to promise too much for this week since we're already halfway through. We'll watch Firewalk with me. All right, there you go. I got to finish season 2 then if we're gonna watch Firewalk with me. All right, fair enough. You got it there, Jamie. All right, okay, guys. Let's see here. we're just over 2 hours, 15 minutes. So we've been talking, Decades of Dread for about an hour 15 here. I think that's a good place to cap it. We can always jump back into this series, guys, and do, revisit specific movies. Maybe that's the way to do it. Either I watch movies I haven't seen before, or, I poll you guys and find out which movies you guys think are like the cornerstones for each decade. Like out of 2010 to 2015, which one of these movies, or maybe I could just do year by year from 2010, which one of these 4 movies do you think is the most, like, it says something definitive about that decade or had a lasting impact on horror throughout that decade? And then we can kind of dive into those movies even more intensely. That might be a fun way to kind of keep this series going, limit the scope so we can focus a little bit more, and just have more of an open discussion. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the live chat. If you're watching after the fact, jump on into the comments. Let me know as well. You guys have been amazing. Look at that. Just over 2 hours, 15 minutes for Late Night with the Davey, episode 60. How cool is that? We've reached 60 episodes of Late Night with the Davey. Gosh, I can't wait to make it to 100. It's going to be so much damn fun. Although I don't think that's going to happen until 2026. But yeah, guys, really appreciate you jumping on in. Thank you so much to the Patreon members, the YouTube channel members, our amazing group of Death Squad mods, and of course, everybody that contributed to the conversation, voted in the polls, hit that like button, or dropped a super chat. Thank you so much. Let me make sure to go ahead and close out this poll before I end the stream, because sometimes I'm really bad about that. Guys, I'll get the event going over on Discord for Pumpkinhead this weekend, and then we'll figure out a good time to do a watch party over here on the YouTube side of things. Again, I won't be able to show the movie in that case, and I'll try to, I'll get some guests going. So maybe we could do that every other week, something like that, or at least a watch party a month over here on the YouTube side of things. But now I'm feeling kind of spoiled over on Discord. So I don't know, even if you're not on Discord and you don't really want to be on there, maybe you just dip your toe and see what it's like. And I totally get it if it's not your thing. Really quick, before we jump into the poll here, we got KB from KB Loves Movies jumping in to say hello and goodbye, buddy. KB, gotta get you on the channel for a watch party, man, if you're down sometime this spooky season. And there's something else I need to reach out to you about for spooky season as well. So I'm glad you jumped in. It's always great to see you, bud. Guys, the poll, which film best represents 2020's horror so far? We had 18 votes. Talk to Me wins with 44%. Terrifier 3, second place with 38%. When Evil Lurks, third place with 16%. And Heretic gets a whopping goose egg, 0% of the votes there. You guys have been amazing. I will be back on Friday night over on Good Real Hunting to help them celebrate their 5th anniversary over there. So you can join me Friday night, I believe 8 p.m. Eastern is when we're going to get rolling. So jump on in over there into the chat and throw those guys some love for their 5th anniversary. And then in the meantime and in the between time, as Dave McCrae says, you can catch me over on the Discord. The link is in the description below, and it's also pinned in the chat. So you can jump on over there. We're interacting there all the time, having a heck of a time, and it's absolutely free to be over there on the Discord with us. And then, yeah, I will put together the event to have the public watch party on Discord for Pumpkinhead from 1988 this weekend. That is most likely going to take place on Saturday evening, so keep an eye out for that, guys. You all have been amazing. I love y'all so much. Closing out day 35 of no alcohol and feeling great. You people are so beautiful for all the support you give to the channel, my personal life, all that great stuff. I think you guys are amazing, and I can't wait to hang out with you again sometime soon. But until next time, I've been and will continue being Davey Deathray. Take care.